mentioned earlier is Denise Gitsham, principal of 7-Second Strategies. Good to see you, Denise.
Thank you.
And it's worth pointing out, former national director of President George W. Bush's National Hispanic Outreach Campaign.
Right.
It's a mouthful.
Yes, it is.
Also in studio is retired, U.S. Navy retired Navy SEAL and Republican congressional candidate in California's 53rd Congressional District, Larry Wilske. How's the campaign going, Larry?
So far, so good. We won in the primary, and now we're moving on. And, it's an uphill battle. We're going against an established incumbent. But we're shaving points off every day. We're down to a 9-point deficit, and that's well within the ballpark of victory.
I don't know. These sports references shaving points in ballpark. I'd be careful.
Well done.
But I should point out to our viewers, you live in a district that is held by an incumbent Democratic Congresswoman, Susan Davis. You shave those points off down to 9. That's pretty impressive. She's won that seat handily the last several elections. I live in the district. You live a block away. And our next guest also lives in the district. Jeff Olson, political activist, Occupy movement fellow traveler.
Good to see you, Rick. Thanks for having me back.
All right. Love the mustache.
Thanks, yeah. TSA, it gives TSA something to think about.
It's a mustache only an Occupy fellow traveler could love. I'm teasing you. All right. So, of course, if you have not heard, immigration's in the news. That was humor. That was humor. So there's a bipartisan bill. We'll start with Denise, former director of National Hispanic Outreach under George W. Bush. There's a bipartisan bill being put forth to turn around illegal minors at the border. A bipartisan bill in Congress. Why is this already even allowed? I mean, isn't it already illegal to enter the border if you're a minor?
So actually, what I think
if you're a minor illegally entering the border.
I think that technically, yes. I think if you're illegally entering, it's illegal. Right. But I think that in this case, Senator Cornyn, who's the second-ranking senator in the Senate, and Representative Cuellar, who's a Hispanic, border Democrat from Texas, have come together to try to amend this law that was passed in 2008 that's supposedly offering permisos to the folks that believe that they can come here illegally and stay.
Now, are you referring to specifically this bill? Is this the loophole for those minors escaping drug violence?
I think that this is the bill that was probably misinterpreted because it's specifically, this is the 2008 bill we're talking about. It was specifically identified to be used by folks who were victims of sex trafficking.
Yeah, sex trafficking. Sex trafficking.
So it's I think what they're doing, what they seem to be doing with this bill, which is aptly named the Humane Act, is to try to get these folks at least some hearing, some judicial process.
Right. So it's going to close that loophole, to limit it to those victims of sex trafficking, so that the whole world can't come through under that law.
It seems like,
I don't know why President Obama did not include the change of language in his $3.7 billion proposal.
It's a great question.
Larry Wilske, you're running for Congress in San Diego County, right on the border. What's your take on this bipartisan bill?
Well, going back to the president's $3.7 billion request, shifting gears just slightly, I wrote a letter to Speaker Boehner to tell him for all the Republicans and Democrats to get together and say yes and give the president that $3.7 billion.
Why?
Deducted from foreign aid we're giving to those home nations, and then use that as a movement ahead to take all foreign aid, maybe take 20% of all foreign aid in the future and put that in a congressional account to have the funds to address these issues when they arise in the future, instead of continually getting caught with our pants down, with our eyes wide shut.
This guy's full of cliches today. Point shaving, eyes wide shut. I don't know what amount of money we're giving in aid to those Central American nations. Without that information, the concept of what you said, I think, makes sense.
The amount of aid that we're giving to those Central American nations is well over $5 billion a year currently.
Wow.
And we could,
deduct it. Yeah.
Deduct it.
Right.
And if we can't deduct it in 1 year, do it over 2 or 3.
Let me ask you this, though, before we go on to Jeff Olson. Vladimir Putin has been playing footsie with Latin America, South America, Central America. There's been some flirtatious overtones there. If America took away that $3.7 billion from those Central American nations that you referred to, would that open the door, in your opinion, the door of opportunity for Vladimir Putin?
I don't think so. The communist movement in South America has been going on for 50 years. There's nothing new about Soviet Union and now Russia going down there and trying to bait and support. And we still have the ability to manipulate the ruble if we wanted to put Russia in harm's way economically. So if they wanted to kind of backstop that and say, well, we're going to start supporting you and financially getting ahead, we could curtail that overnight.
Okay, interesting. Jeff Olson, your take on this bipartisan bill?
Well, you know, I don't know much about the bill, but I do know that there are women and children in harm's way who are coming to us for help. And if you can show me the child that Jesus would turn back away from the border and send back into harm's way, then you might convince me that that would be the right thing to do. But until you can show me that kid, that terrified kid escaping from harm's way who should go back into that scenario, then I can't really be a part of that.
Denise Gitsham, what's wrong with
Yeah,
the argument?
no, I actually think it's a great argument, and it's one that Republicans, obviously, if you really listen to the mainstream Republican response right now, everyone is saying the same exact thing. There's not one Republican legislator who's saying we should send these kids back in an inhumane way or in any way, shape, or form treat them differently from other people. All that we're saying is that we are still a nation of laws. So if you'd like to change the laws, there's a way to do that, and it's not by just basically reclassifying them as refugees or basically people who need asylum.
Isn't this what we were born to do? I mean, isn't that America taking? The base of the Statue of Liberty doesn't say, "Give me your coders and your engineers and your billionaires."
They come in legally.
Right.
There's a way to do it, and I think that's the difference. It's not about the kindness or the goodness of our heart. America is a very generous country. We always have been. That's why we're able to even draw upon the things that you're saying, these themes of compassion. Everyone agrees with that issue. Taking that issue off the table, though, there is still the issue of a nation of laws and whether or not we want to be that moving forward, and that's a legitimate debate.
Hey, Rick, if I may just jump in real quickly. One of the things we're missing here, because we keep fighting the fight on immigration, and we can sit there and have that fist fight all day long. Securing the border is really where the attention needs to go.
Right.
And it's not build a fence. You know, I think I heard Bob Beckel say, if they build a 12-foot fence, I'm going to open up a business selling 13-foot ladders. So, you know, and he's right. But let's secure the border economically. Let's secure the border against intelligence. Let's secure the border internationally against intellectual property theft. There's a lot of securing the border we need to do, and we need to create an economical demand signal to do that. Then we talk about...
Why won't, Denise, why do you suppose the left will not have that discussion?
About border security?
Yeah. I mean, the right says let's secure it first, and then we're about to next. Other item next. Why?
I really don't know, because it's really not politically smart to not talk about actually enforcing the laws in the nation. I actually think it erodes their credibility, which is maybe perhaps why I think it's in the high 60s percentage of people don't think that President Obama is actually doing a great job. It might be the high 50s, but it's a majority of people on this issue. But if there was some sort of sanity that we could bring to this issue, it would talk about both sides. It would talk about ensuring the integrity and the sovereignty of our nation and protecting them from really what we've now opened. And I just read about this. There's a whole group of Border Patrol agents that are acting as babysitters instead of doing their job. And if I were a terrorist mindset, I would think that's the Achilles heel of America.
It's easy from the comfort and security of our San Diego homes to say that you should come here legally, but when you're in harm's way and when your life is on the line, you may not have the luxury of applying for a visa.
Why do you suppose, Jeff Olson, that it's increased tenfold under President Obama? I say it increased. I'm specifically referring to the amount of asylums granted by this U.S. Administered by the White House is increased tenfold from Central America. The reason is we are sending the wrong message to Central America.
When we snort up their drugs, and when we, the demand for the cartel's demand for drugs is based on the party people right here in town. This is not. I mean, we're part of the problem, and the idea that violence has gotten unbearable down there, it's heartbreaking.
What do you say, Larry Wilske? Should go on a campaign trail and tell the voters that it's the American drug habit that is causing illegal immigration? And so
I do agree with Jeff, though.
Hold that thought. We'll keep it at the other side of the break. Sure. All right, so all sorts of comments on the other side of the break. I'm Rick Amato. We continue with our Grassroots Citizen panel right after this.